In this video, we're going to look at presets and their physical properties. Now, I've decided to use a lighter theme for this video and maybe for the following videos. You can change it, for example, if you go up here to File, click on User Settings, and here you can see, for example, their shortcuts, preset, user interface, and others. Here we can click on interface and then theme style here. Instead of being dark, I changed it to light. Dark, for example, I show you. You see, it went back to dark. Instead, I wanted it light. So this is one thing you can do if you prefer um, to use a lighter color. Now, physical properties, for example, we can easily change in the property editor. The most important thing is that you need to highlight the fabric you're working with. Make sure that's highlighted. When it's highlighted, then in the property editor, the properties come up. So let's just take a look at regular fabrics, for example, silk, leather, and the way they react when you simulate. So, for example, where do you find these fabrics? So you need to scroll. Here's your property editor, and you need to scroll down. Okay, so you need to go down, you scroll, and here it's physical properties, where you see it's written physical properties. Here we can begin working. So preset custom. Okay, let's click here on this little arrow that's facing downwards. And what happens, you see all the different types of materials. And if, of course, you hover over one, you'll see a sub menu, and it's a sub menu of that type of material. For example, there is velvet, but we can have micro suede, corduroy, Sherpa coral fleece, everything that's written here. It's a submenu. For example, silk. We have silk organza, silk georgette, silk habotai, silk twill, silk chamois. So here it's just to give you an idea, and you can choose from this menu. So we have the custom, which is cotton, and we'll let's go back. For example, if we decide to change, we'll click again here. Let's say we're going to use for this t-shirt silk, and we're going to use a silk chamois. Okay, so this has become silk. It has all the properties of silk chamois. I'm going to simulate a bit, and I'm going to just adjust it like this. But you may say, oh, it has all the properties of silk chamois, but maybe it doesn't look that silky to me. So if you want to render this even better, go back, you click again, and what you can do is, do you remember our rendering type here? We can click here and choose silk. And here we have a better idea. It's rendered out much better. And you understand, oh, well, yes, this is really silk. So the way you want your fabric to show up, you let this rendering type, it can help you. Because at the end of the day, you want your fabric to look as realistic as possible, the way it would look in reality, in the real world. So here we have this silk. Okay, now let's click here again. And of course, you saw when I simulated, I'll go simulate again. Okay, let's redo it. When I simulated, look at I'm going to just pull and tug, and you're understanding how this material, how it's flowing. So we're going to click on it again, and here it comes back. Let's say, for example, we choose in the not in the rendering, not in the rendering. Here's what. Let's go back to this one here, matte. Let's go down to choose our fabrics. Remember here, physical properties preset, this part here. This time we're gonna choose like leather. Okay, so we're gonna choose a leather lambskin. So it's a leather lambskin that's stiffer than silk. Now, if we simulate and you see how stiff this has become? So it is stiffer, the properties are different. And even to render it out, you can also go back to the rendering type and render it with leather. But lambskin, then in reality, check out the way it looks. And if it looks in a certain way, you render it in a certain way. For example, if we scroll and we go back to our rendering type, it may look more this way, matte. If, for example, you want to click on leather, see how this is. Now, this is a shinier type of leather. But in the future lessons, I'm going to show you how to, for example, change this gloss here. It's really shiny. So I'm going to have you lower it and just to make it into render it into the type of leather that you really want it to look like. Um, so you have two things. You have the rendering, where you make it look as realistic as possible, but not only that, you have the cloth simulation. And the cloth simulation is when we choose the actual fabric with its preset. So for there, we have to go to physical properties. Okay? So there are two things, the rendering and the actual preset. In this actual preset, the cloth simulation, when you simulate, it reacts the way it should because leather is stiffer than silk. So it reacts the way it should. So this is just a very quick introduction to um, the physical properties of the fabrics. Cotton will be simulated in another way. A silk, there is velvet, there is that lace of fabric, different synthetics and